All right. Okay. So you guys are welcome. This is your baby step to Python in Future Lab, where you'll be learning everything Python. Now, the goal, of course, is for us to take you from where you are now and take you to automation and you building AI and machine learning. So it's going to be a long ride for you. It's going to be bumpy, but trust me, at the same time, it's going to be fun. Now, when you stay cool to it, by the end, you'll be glad you took this journey, right? So this is your blank slate, right? And this is VS Code. So for the first time, this is what you will see, right? So there's practically nothing here for you to work with. Don't be scared, because I'm going to hold your hand and lead you through this journey. So this is your first coding, baby step to coding using Python. So what's the first thing you'd want to do? So if you just move your mouse down to this point here, right? So we have three windows. We have our terminal. So this is where we'll be seeing our results, right? We have terminal here. This is where we'll be writing our code, right? And this is more like our file explorer or our file archive. So all the files we'll be creating, this is where they are going to be. Okay, so if you want to create a file, you can do it from here or you do it from here. Because this is a baby class, right? So we're just going to use the GUI to create everything which we want to create. So if you look up here, you would see this, right, which is new file. This is what would use to create a new file. This is for folder, right? And of course, this is to refresh your explorer. This is your archive window. And if I want to minimize, right, this is where I would use just to collapse. So I think the same thing you'd want to do with this, right? And that's it. Okay, so let's come here to create our very first file. So what I'm going to do now is to create an intro file. Now remember, we're writing Python, so we're going to say py, that's for Python. But if we're doing, let's say, text, I could say txt, or I could say jx if we're doing JavaScript. I could say ts if we're doing TypeScript, right? And a whole lot, right, file extension that we can create. But because we're doing Python, we're going to say py. So py, I hit enter. So what that implies is that what we'll be writing here is going to be Python files, right? Okay, so now we're going to write our very first line of code, right? And that's the first thing you would want to learn, right? Something you can write here and you would see the results here. Trust me, that's the easiest thing to do. And the quicker you see what you're doing, the better your interest aroused. So what are we going to write so that we can see our code? That's where this print comes in, right? So let's say we want to print something, and I'm printing Future Lab here, right? So if I save here, what I need to come do here is to say Python, and remember our file name, which is what, intro, right? So would say intro, and I run. Oops, you can see what just happened here. All right, so the first thing, like I explained, which is very important that you need to observe, is to first of all type Python and see if you have Python installed. So if I hit enter, you can see that I have Python installed. Now, if you're using Windows and you don't have Python, how would you get Python running on your system? To get Python running on your system, just hit on this your place, your store, Windows Store, come down here, look for Python, and if you see Python, this is Python, right? So just try and install this, right? So just click and install. That's how simple it is. Once you install Python, you can run Python anywhere, and this time around, this is where we're running. So we've confirmed that Python is here, so I'm just going to do this, right? So let me remove this and do Python run intro. So that's the command.py. So that's the command we'll type. Oops. All right. So picking back, right? So what we're gonna do now? So if you look here, we did Python run intro.py and Python intro. Okay, so what we're going to say is Python intro.py, right? So once we run that, we're going to see what we just did here, which is super amazing, right? So I can come up here and change it. So let's say Future Lab, Innovate, Create, Inspire, right? All right, so that's what we want to see here. So I could come up here and do Python intro.py, right? So we can see, oh, I did not save. So if you look up here, you would see this circle door that implies that we've not saved. So I can do Control S, right, to save. Of course, Control S to save. Then come back here. I could say Python. So let me be sure. So for some reason, this guy isn't typing. Okay, so Python intro.py, hit on that so we see this. So a shortcut that we can do is for us to use our direction button, the up and down, right? So if I do up, I would see my most recent command, right, and hit enter. Rather than typing it over again, we can just use our up button and hit enter. Now you can see that here is getting too much of data. To clear it up, I could just do clear. So that wipes up everything. Okay, all right. Something else we're quickly going to do now is so for every time I write something new, so let's say new, I put something new possibilities here and I want to see it here. Even though I save, I can't see it here. So what we're going to do now is once we just save, let's see the updates here. This is going to help us work 10 times faster, right? To achieve that, would need to install NodeMon. So I'm going to say npm-g. So when I say -g, I mean I want to store it globally. So let's say -g. So why I'm saying -g is I want to have it global, or I could just do global, right? So if I do double dash, meaning I want to have it in full, then I'll do global, or I could just do -g for short. And this I am doing there is for install, right? So I'm saying npm install -global. Of course, it's not a must that I have that -g, but I can as well just, so what we want to install is called node monitor, NodeMon, right? So that's what we want to install. So these allow us to keep a watch on this file, right? So that anytime we save our code, it automatically run here. So it's just keeping a watch for updates, right? Okay, having said that, what I need to do again now is I need to install it, and because I like using this shortcut, so I could just use -g. Now I can run this because I already have Node installed on my system. So if you don't have Node installed on your system, just go to your browser, check out for Node and install Node, right? So that would give you the ability to use this npm package. So now once I hit on this, it's going to take a very short while and it install it. Okay, so 4 packages, it has installed it. Now because I use -g, I can use it anytime across my app. So like I said, what we want to do now is to have NodeMon watch out for here. So I'm going to type this. I'm going to say python -execute python, then what's the file? That's intro.py. So once I do this, so let me see what is wrong. Okay, so this is where the error is, right? So that shouldn't be Python because Python does not recognize this execute. So that should be nodemon. So hit enter and Hula. Now I can see this, right? So if I come here now and say future lab baby steps to Python, right? It's a Python programming. Okay, so once I save, you can see it watches and restarts. Awesome, good. Isn't that cool? So this is what would be using for the rest of this class. So what we've successfully learned here is how to type our very first line of code and have that first line of code being displayed here, which is super cool. One more thing which I would want us to see and watch or get ourselves deep into is how we display this string here, right? So the different method which we can use. So let me just remove or comment this. So if I do control/, so that comments this, or I can just come to the front here and just apply that hashtag, right? So once I do this hash, right, it's going to comment here. If I save, nothing is going to run because of course it's not going to see this line as part of its running code. Okay, so let's do print. I can use single stroke, right? I can use single stroke to type something. So again, we'll say future lab baby step programming. So you can see that this is a single stroke, right? And if we save, we can see this here, which is cool, right? Again, I can use I like this AI is just amazing. Okay, so if let me comment on these now. So at first we use single stroke, right? So let's remove this now. We can use double stroke. That's what we've seen earlier on. And we can use triple stroke, right? Now, and we need to know at what time we would use single, triple, and double. So let's write something here. This is, right, multi-line comments, right? So which is good. So now for triple stroke, it's when we want to do multi-lines, like I want to do something like this, right? So I can have as many lines as possible. That's when we would use this, right? Where we want to do multiple lines, right? Now for us to do single, let me remove this and let's remove this, right? So now you can see that there's an error here. Why? Because this is a single line stroke, right? But if I should remove this and come here, bring this back up, you can see it's fine. Now anytime we want to do a multi-line, of course we can either use this our stroke here, but of course this is going to this is not the best approach, right, to go about multiple lines, right? So the best way for us to use multiple line is for us to do a triple quote, right? So once we do a triple quote, that would be fine. Now again, at what point do we need to use single or double, right? So look at this now. So I'm using a single quote there and I say I do, this is an amazing quote by Peter, right? So if I should save this is going to be fine. Why? Because you can see that I'm using double stroke here. So if in a situation you'll be using a double stroke inside your quote, inside your string, it's important that you use this, right, so that the system does not confuse itself. However, look at this now. So let me just highlight both of them. So Ctrl D to do this double highlight, right? And I remove that and I use a single quote. You can see at this moment this is now an error, right? This is now an error, and the reason for that is because zooming in so that you can see it clearly. The reason for that is because you can see this single quote here, and it can see another single quote here. In its mind, it's taking it that this is the end of this quote here. This is the end of this quote, right? And I am still having more here, right? So that's it. To an extent, it's confusing the system, right? So how can we fix this, right? That's where this double stroke comes in, right? So I could do this and come up here and do this, right? So that's okay in itself. Sorry, let me use double stroke here. So come here and use double stroke here. So now that has fixed this, right? So you just need to know what you're doing, right, in order to know which to use. Then the last which I'm going to speak to, so if I save this is fine. The last which I'm going to speak to is we using our F string, and this is the one we're going to be using more often, and the reason for that you would see now. So we're going to say F, right, and call this. So this is called using the F string, right? So inside of here I can say this is the best. So if I save, we'll still get this is the best, no big deal, right? So it's almost like there's no difference between what we just did here and what we just did here, right? But this is the part where it gets tricky. Now the reason it's because we can apply a variable inside of this, right? I know I've not spoken about variable, we've not done variable, but just for context, right, so that you guys understand what we're speaking to, basically a variable is a container which we use to hold value, right? And if you could remember in school, they will tell you let x be equals to 20, y is equals to 10, then find x plus y. So what they've done there, so let me just do this here. So they would say in school, you would say if x is equals to, let's say 20 and y is equals to 10, right? Then you now say what is x plus y. Now this is a variable, right? Like you were taught in school, you've learned this, right? And this is programming, that's the same concept. So if we come up here now, I will say okay, x is equals to what do we have there, 20, and y is equals to 10. So what we've done here, we've declared a variable, and I think I kind of like what this system is doing here. So now let's say print x plus y, right? And if we should save this now, we can see that x plus y is 30, right? So that is it's here. So our x plus y is 30, right? But that same thing, we can apply it here. Like I said, you can see that x plus y here is equals to 30. Okay, so we can see the 30 here, but what we want to do is to have these 30 inside this string. So now we can now say let's do something like the result of x plus y will be. So we call our curly brace, right? We call our curly brace. So inside of our curly brace, we can now put x plus y, right? So once we do this and we save, you can see the result of x plus y is equal to 30. Now the cool thing again here is I can put this like this as single stroke here. I can have it here so that if we save, we just show a way to highlight that x plus y is what we're referring to. So the result of x plus y would be 30. Now what we're doing here is inside a string, we're calling like we're writing a code inside the string, right? So we're calling a function, or we can call a function, that's true. We can call a function here, we can call a variable here, right? In fact, I can still come here and do something like this, and inside here I would say, let's say y. So the same thing, I'll come here and I'll do something like this. Inside here I'll say X. So what I'm just trying to say is, knowing that the value of X here is this, so if I save this, so we can see that we have X, we see the value, Y, we see the value there. Yeah, and you can see we have this, right? Super amazing. Now the point here is, inside the string we can call function variable, and we use the f function for that, right? Or like I usually call it f string, right? So in most cases this is what we'll be using because it's more robust and it allows us to see our result ASAP, right? Now just to end today's work, and of course I'm going to give you guys an assignment just to try out, right? So do a scenario, put a function inside, sorry, just put the variable inside the string, and have it print your name, right? Have it print your name and just drop it in the comment section, and trust you get value here. So see you in the next class. Yeah, peace out.